This is very important. It should not be interpreted as just this, separation of church and state. They're two different entities. They are part of the same as far as history is concerned, legitimacy is concerned. Now, how does the Dharamsala administration work? It functions like any other government. We have 7 ministries or 7 departments, foreign, under which we have around 12 semi-embassies or offices of Tibet around the world, one in Delhi, and in New York, and Geneva, and Moscow, and Taiwan, and Tokyo. And then under education department, I also hold the education portfolio. So we have around 30 plus high school, primary school, and middle schools, around 30,000 or so children, and educated all over. I got my education, and many of us got our education in Tibetan Refugee School. And then finance takes care of money, and our budget is limited in the sense it's only $22 million a year. So 120 some crores. It's less than one of the major embassies here in Delhi. But we make do with that budget to care of 150,000 people around the world, their education, their health, elderly people. We manage to take care of them. Why? We all take pay cuts. I've shared this often, but maybe I will share with you here as well. I had a job at Harvard Law School for 7 years. So I left that job, I left America to serve in India, the Tibetan people. So my salary now is less than my DA, daily allowance at Harvard, a day. It's around 17,000 rupees a month. I travel by second class train. Tonight I'm going to do that. By Puja Express to Dharamsala. I travel by economy class. Now why I say this because if I get only this much of perks, then all the rest of the staff members, 1,000 employees, get a lot less than me. So this is a labor of love. This is the cause. This is the sacrifice the Zakir Hussain ji and the Gandhi ji felt when Java Mela Islamic University was established. We don't have money, but this vision is good. This cause is good. We all have to commit ourselves. So, Tibetans, the younger generation has taken over. Younger generation is given the responsibility. The elder generation have worked so hard under brilliant leadership of His Holiness Dayal. And the elder generation Tibetans have left a rich and strong legacy. Now it becomes the challenge of the younger generation to continue the legacy of the elder generation and build on the hard work of the elder generation. And from our part, we are doing our bit by making contribution. So not just me, a friend of mine from America has returned, left his job. Another one left her job as a senior PR official in a $1 billion project in Montreal in Canada. She's here in Dharamsala. Someone has closed his shop in San Francisco to come work in Dharamsala. So we have Tibetan youth coming from London, coming from Minnesota, coming from Australia, to come to realize the vision of His Holiness and fulfill the aspirations of the Tibetan people in Tibet. Now, in Tibet, I'm sorry to say I don't have good news to share, because the situation in Tibet is getting much more difficult. 89 Tibetans have committed self-immolations. 89 Tibetans. 89 Tibetans have set themselves on fire. They burned themselves. It's going to be 100, most likely. And the Time magazine says, this is the least reported news in the world. Top 10 least reported news in the world. There was one self-immolation in Tunisia. And many say that led to the Arab Spring. That led to the international media going and covering it. That led to the international going there and intervening to bring justice. 2 weeks later, the president of Tunisia, Ben Ali, left. Tahrir Square happened in Egypt. It continues to happen now. And they say one Tunisian self-immolation was the catalyst for Arab Spring. 89 Tibetans have burned themselves. How come there's one standard to cover the news, one standard to support an issue, and there's another standard to support? So that's why former President's aspiration, Gandhi's also, equality and justice. What Tibetans seek is justice. What we seek is equal treatment. Not only after going to Tibet, even as a movement we want equal acknowledgement, equal recognition, equal support. Nothing more, nothing special. So that is why this platform is very important. So I feel very honored and privileged because I get to share, even though it's a sad chapter in Tibet's history, the reality in Tibet. Now the Chinese government blame us for troubles in Tibet. They say, oh, self-immolation is instigated by people from outside, us and me. And they want to question the self-immolation itself. They want us to focus on the action. And some people often ask me, how do you interpret this? But I say, yes, action is important, but it's secondary. The primary reasons why people are committing self-immolation, the causes, what forcing them to do it? Life is precious. If you slap me, maybe I'll slap you back. At least I'll say, ouch. Who would give up one's life just like that? The Indian freedom fighters gave up their lives. Why? Just because they wanted to die? No. They believed in the cause, they were forced to. Gandhiji went to prison. Why? He was forced to. That's the only way he could highlight the issue of India at that time. Similarly, Tibetans are forced to be in the streets, protest. What are the causes for self-immolations? Continuing occupation of Tibet by PRC. Political repression. Political repression. For example, here I can speak before you. In Tibet, if you shout one slogan in the streets of Lhasa, the capital city, human rights, just 2 words. If you just say human rights, raise your hand. Immediately you will be arrested. You will be tortured. Sometimes you disappear. Even to have a copy of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights could land you in trouble.